All right. Well, I'm trying to catch up on some of the stuff that I had posted about on my blog in regards to the game one of the Cubs versus the Dodgers. In game one of the Cubs versus the Dodgers, we got Javier Baez, who stole home, which was interesting because supposedly it hadn't happened for the Cubs since 1907. And we've talked a whole lot about the 1908 World Series and how the Cubs haven't won in 108 years. The Willis Tower in Chicago is 108 stories tall. The Great Chicago Fire was in the first year of Major League Baseball. It just so happened to happen on 10/8 of 1871, a lot like 108. It was even 5 months, 4 days after the first ever Major League Baseball game that was played on 5/4, May 4th. If you write out the word baseball in gematria, baseball equals 54. The 1871 season was also 145 years ago. If you read out 145 as words, it also equals 108. There's literally so much 108 around the Cubs. It's just ridiculous. They even picked up Aroldis Chapman, and it even says on Wikipedia that he holds the record for the fastest recorded pitch speed in Major League Baseball history, 108 miles per hour. Of course, he wears number 54, just like baseball. And I even talked about how all these postponed games, it seems to be foreshadowing the Dodgers making the World Series, because almost every year, and if you go back until 2002 at least, almost every time there was a postponed game in the postseason, that team went on to the World Series and lost. And if two teams were in a postponed game in the postseason, then obviously one of the teams won. But there was only one exception, and that was the year that the Chicago White Sox won the World Series. And in that year, the Yankees and the Angels had a postponed game, but the White Sox went on to win the World Series. They won it for the first time in 88 seasons, though. And, curse of the Billy Goat equals 88. I've talked about all kinds of 88 in regards to the Cubs. And, the Dodgers are connected a lot to 88. They won in the year 88. Vin Scully retired. He's age 88. But tonight in Game 4, they even... Oh, let me just pull it up really quick. Tonight in Game 4, they even showed that they talked about the temperature of the game, and then they zoomed in on the 88 degrees, and then the Cubs ended up winning. So I think that all of this 88 coding that has been going on is for the Cubs. I don't think it's for the Dodgers. It seems that way, but I feel like this year is the year that they're going to break the curse. The only other exception that I'm talking about in the postseason postponed games was the year that the Red Sox broke their curse. And, possibly I am wrong, because 88, if you go back and look at like the Steve Bartman incident, 88 was absolutely horrible for the Cubs. It was their 88th season in Wrigley. After the Steve Bartman incident, the Marlins scored 8 runs in the 8th inning, a whole bunch more. But I want to point out in this game, Game 4 tonight, they showed this with the clock was 5:50, so it was 5:50 at night. That's also 10 till 6. The word prophecy equals 106, and the curse of the Billy Goat, the curse was placed on 10/6 of 1945. The Cubs also got their 108th win tonight. So, maybe they're going to stay on 108 wins. That would seem somewhat fitting. I just don't think that's what's going to happen. I really think that they're going to go on to win. There is a narrative for the Cleveland Indians in regards to the back-to-back championships. I just meant, I guess, they're going to go on to win against the Dodgers. I'm kind of on the fence now. I don't know what I think. I've been talking about the Cubs all year, But the curse of the Billy Goat does not specify if it is for the Cubs to make the World Series or if it is for the Cubs to win the World Series, So possibly they just break the curse and, since they haven't won in 108 years, all this 108, possibly they just break the curse and next year it will be 108 seasons and then they would go on to win the World Series, Make the World Series this year and win. I don't know. I'm just on the fence. I need to keep looking. But forever I've been talking about the Cubs, I think, are going to win the World Series. But some stuff about the Indians in the past month has made me question myself. If the Cubs don't make the World Series, then I'm almost positive that the Indians are going to win the World Series. It's really fitting for the back-to-back championship stuff. Also, the coach of the Dodgers is 44 years old right now. It just doesn't seem very fitting for him to win the World Series being 44 years old. So anyway, in regards to him stealing home, they talked about the World Series in 1907, which was 108 seasons ago. And that World Series began on 10-8. But also in this Game 1, we had Montero pinch hit grand slam, and then that's why the Dodgers won 8-4, or the Cubs won 8-4. The Dodgers lost 4-8. The Indians haven't won since the year 48. Anyway, let's look at it. So, Miguel Montero hit his grand slam in the 8th inning, and he made the score 3-7 when he hit the grand slam. Montero in gematria equals 37. He makes the score 3-7. If you include the end date, he even did it 3 months, 7 days after his birthday. Chicago equals 37 in gematria. His birthday's on July 9th, 7-9. The word champion equals 79. He did it in the 8th inning. 8th inning equals 79. He's 33 years old. The score was 3-3 before he hit the grand slam even. 3-3. 33 years old. He did it, or his birthday is an interesting birthday because it's 108 days before the World Series begins this year. Stole home equals 112 as well in gematria. It's the 112th World Series. Let's see here. The guy that Miguel Montero hit the home run against, or the grand slam, the pitcher was Joe Blanton, which really sticks out because Joe Blanton in gematria equals 108. And Game 1, where this happened, it happened 57 days before his birthday. If you write out the phrase World Series, it equals 57. I just don't think that's positive for the Dodgers. I think that's showing us that the Cubs are going to be in the World Series. Remember, too, that the postponed game of the Dodgers in the postseason happened on October 8th, 10-8. The last time they had a postponed game, they made the game up and they won 10-8. So they're showing you the 108 stuff that is connected to the Chicago Cubs. They also told us that the last time a pinch hitter had done this, there was 2 times that this happened. So Montero's was the 3rd time ever that a pinch hitter in the postseason hit a grand slam. The other ones were Ricky Leday and Mark Lewis. And I just want to point out that Mark Lewis, he began his career with the Cleveland Indians, and he also, what in the world happened? He also ended his career with the Cleveland Indians. It said that he hit 48 home runs in his career. 48 home runs, right? The Indians haven't won since the year 48. I talked about all the Michael Jordan stuff in regards to 48. Lots of 48 around the Cleveland Indians. He also hit his home run in 1995 That was the year that the Indians went to the World Series and lost to the Atlanta Braves. And when the Indians won in 1948, they beat the Boston Red Sox in a one-game playoff to make the World Series. And then they went on to beat the Boston Braves, in the World Series. And the reason I mention that is because the other guy, Ricky Leday, who hit the pinch hit grand slam in the postseason, his grand slam was against the Boston Red Sox. And he also played for the Cleveland Indians in the year 2000, but he only played 17 games. And his career with the Cleveland Indians came to an end against Toronto, who the Cleveland Indians just beat to make the World Series. And they won 10-3, which reminds me of the Chicago Cubs, who had 103 regular season wins this year. Billy Goat also equals 103. His record with Cleveland, if you go through and look at him, he was 9-8 when he played with Cleveland, which is interesting because his last game with them was also their 98th game of the season. His full name in gematria, though, Ricardo Alberto Leday, equals 91, just like Chicago Cubs, just like Chicago, Illinois with the S exception. So like I've been saying it for a while, I think that is going to be the Indians and the Cubs in the World Series. I have shown other narratives, but I've been talking about how I think the Cubs are going to beat the Indians in the World Series. But if the Cubs do make it, I talked about this back-to-back theme for a very long time. And then the Golden State Warriors did not win the NBA Finals. And I thought, man, that's crazy. They've been saying back-to-back and all kinds of stuff. And if you watch the baseball, if you watch and listen to the announcers, they bring up back-to-back just as much as they did in the NBA season. And, I don't watch baseball until the playoffs usually. And so I don't know. Possibly they've been doing it all year. But this year I've noticed it in lots of sporting events and lots of things. They say back-to-back. I've never noticed that in my entire life. So it doesn't seem that unbelievable to me that the Indians would win back-to-back championships for Cleveland. And in this game, when Montero hit his grand slam, the next guy up, Fowler, he hit a home run too, and then they made a big deal about it, about how it was back-to-back home runs, Cleveland Cavaliers equals 69 in gematria, back-to-back equals 69 in gematria. So it's definitely something to think about, Pinch hitter even equals 67, just like Cleveland Indians. When Montero was the first pinch hitter, or one of 3 pinch hitters to hit a grand slam in the postseason. Just lots of Indians foreshadowing. I don't know. Like I said, I'm up on the fence. I thought it was going to be the Cubs. The Indians are making me second guess myself. We'll see how it all plays out. Just wanted to post this video, get some more information out that I hadn't put out because I was sick and I just didn't have the energy to put out a lot of these videos. But have a good one.